Are you tired of waking up every morning and feeling like something is missing? Are you tired of small problems making you angry? Are you tired of worrying about things you cannot change? You are not alone. 2,000 years ago, a man felt the same way, but this man was not ordinary. He was the most powerful person in the world. He was the emperor of Rome. His name was Marcus Aurelius, and yet every night he sat alone and wrote in his private journal. Not to share with anyone, not to impress anyone, just to remind himself how to be better, how to be calmer, how to be stronger. That journal survived 2,000 years. Today we call it the Meditations. This is a graded lesson for English learners who love big ideas and ancient wisdom. In this video, you will learn 10 lessons from that journal. 10 lessons that a Roman emperor used to face war, loss, betrayal, and the heavy weight of power. And yet he kept going. He kept his mind quiet. Listen carefully. These lessons do not belong to ancient Rome. They belong to you. Right now, today. You don't control the world, you control yourself. That was the one idea Marcus Aurelius wrote about again and again for years. And by the end of this video, you will understand exactly what it means and exactly how to use it. If this sounds like something you need, subscribe right now. There is more coming, and you do not want to miss it. Let's begin. Lesson 1. You control your mind, not the world. Here's the truth. Most people spend their whole lives trying to control things they cannot control. They want to control what people think of them. They want to control what happens at work. They want to control the weather, the traffic, the news, the future. And when those things don't go their way, they get angry, they get sad. They feel like failures. Marcus Aurelius understood this trap, and he learned how to escape it. He learned it from a man named Epictetus. Epictetus was not an emperor. He was not rich. He was not powerful. He was a slave. He had nothing, and yet he was one of the freest men who ever lived. How? Because Epictetus understood one thing that most people never learn. He understood that there are two kinds of things in life. Things you control and things you don't. Things you control: your thoughts, your actions, your words, your choices, your attitude. Things you don't control: other people, the past, illness, death. What happens to you? A weak mind reacts. A strong mind responds. When something bad happens, a weak mind says, "This is terrible. This is not fair. Why is this happening to me?" A strong mind says, "I cannot change this, but I can choose how I face it." Marcus Aurelius wrote this in his journal over and over again, not because he was perfect at it, but because he needed the reminder every single day. He was an emperor. People criticized him. Enemies attacked Rome. His own friends betrayed him. Every night he returned to the same question: what is inside my control right now? Not the attack, not the betrayal, not the criticism. Only his mind. That was enough. That was everything. Marcus learned this from a slave, and it changed him forever. It can change you too. You don't control the world. You control yourself. Start there. Start now. That is your first step. Lesson 2. Do your duty. Don't complain. Stay with me. Marcus Aurelius was emperor of the largest empire on earth. He commanded armies. He made decisions that affected millions of people. He sat in meetings that lasted for hours. He dealt with problems that never seemed to end. And he did not want to do any of it. This might surprise you. Most people think that power is something everyone wants. But Marcus Aurelius wrote honestly in his journal. His journal showed he was tired. Some mornings he wanted to stay in bed. The work was heavy. The days were long. But then he wrote something else. He wrote, "Get up, do the work. This is what you were made for." Not because it was easy, not because he loved every moment, but because it was his duty. And duty, he believed, was not optional. Think about the young man who works 2 jobs. He wakes up before the sun. He is tired before the day even begins. His body is heavy. His mind is slow. And there is a voice inside him that says, "Stay in bed. Rest. You deserve it." That voice lies. Marcus Aurelius knew that voice well. He called it the pull of comfort. And every morning he chose to ignore it. He got up, he moved, he worked, not perfectly, not happily, but consistently. Here is the lesson. You do not need to love your responsibilities. You don't need excitement every morning. A bad mood does not stop good work. You only need to show up. Again and again and again. Complaining uses energy. Doing saves it. Most people spend 20 minutes complaining about a task that would take 10 minutes to finish. They talk about how hard it is, how unfair it is, how they should not have to do it. And while they are talking, the task is still there, waiting. Marcus did not complain. He wrote about his frustrations in his journal, privately, honestly. And then he closed the journal, stood up, and went to work. The difference was simple. He felt the resistance, and he moved anyway. Do what the day asks of you, not tomorrow, now. That is lesson 2. Lesson 3. Remember that you will die. Now think about this. Every morning, Marcus Aurelius reminded himself of one uncomfortable truth. A truth that most people spend their whole lives running away from. He reminded himself that he would die. Not someday, not eventually, soon. In the way that all things are soon when you look at the size of time. He called this practice memento mori. It is a Latin phrase. It means remember that you will die. This sounds dark. It sounds like something a sad person would think about. But Marcus did not use this idea to make himself sad. He used it to wake himself up. If you only have a little time, you stop wasting it. If you know the clock is moving, you start moving with it. If you understand that this day will never come back, you treat it differently. Most people live as if they have unlimited time. They say, "I will do it later. I will start next year. I will be happy when things are better." And later never comes. Next year is always next year. Better is always somewhere ahead, never here. Marcus Aurelius had more power than almost any person in history. He could have had anything he wanted. Every single morning he came back to the same reminder, this will end, use it well. An average person fears death. A Stoic lives fully because of it. Think about the last week of your life. Not in a sad way, just honestly. Did you do what mattered? Did you spend time on the things you say are important? Or did you spend it on things that felt urgent but were actually empty? Most of us already know the answer. Marcus knew it too. That is why he kept writing. That is why he kept asking himself hard questions. Not because he was afraid of death, but because he was more afraid of something else. He was afraid of a life half-lived. Death is not the enemy. Wasted time is. You will not live forever, nobody will. But the way you spend today is the way you spend your life. One day added to another. One choice added to another. One moment at a time. Marcus Aurelius wrote about death not to feel hopeless. He used the idea to feel alive, to feel the weight and the gift of the present moment. Remember that you will die, and then go live. That is the practice of Lesson 3. Lesson 4. Live in the present moment. Hear me on this. The human mind is a time traveler. It goes to the past to feel regret. It goes to the future to feel fear. And it almost never stays in the only place where life actually happens. Right here, right now. Marcus Aurelius wrote about this again and again in his journal. He believed that the present moment was the only real thing a person has. The past is gone. The future is not yet real. The only place you can actually do anything, feel anything, change anything is now. This is not just a nice idea. This is a practice, a daily choice. Many centuries after Marcus Aurelius, a man named Viktor Frankl discovered the same truth in a very different place. Frankl was a doctor, a thinker, a father, and then the Second World War came. He was taken to a concentration camp. He lost almost everything: his family, his freedom, his future. But inside that camp, Frankl made a discovery that changed the world. He discovered that no matter what happened around him, one thing could never be taken away: his ability to choose his own attitude. His ability to find meaning in the present moment, even in suffering. He wrote, "Later, between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response." Marcus Aurelius wrote something very similar 2,000 years earlier. Different man, different century, same truth. The present moment is the only place where power lives. You cannot fix yesterday. Yesterday is closed. You cannot control tomorrow. Tomorrow is not open yet. But right now, in this moment, you can choose how you think. You can choose how you breathe. You can choose how you respond to what is in front of you. Right now is not small. Right now is everything. Most of us treat the present moment like a waiting room. We sit in it, uncomfortable, looking at the door, waiting for the real moment to arrive. Waiting for the weekend. Waiting for the promotion. Waiting for things to get easier. But the waiting room is the life. Marcus Aurelius did not wait. He was fully in each moment, even when that moment was hard. Especially when that moment was hard. Yesterday is a memory. Tomorrow is a guess. Right now is everything. Come back to now. That is Lesson 4. Lesson 5. People cannot hurt your mind. Here's what most people miss. When something bad happens, the first thing most of us do is look for someone to blame. A colleague who was unfair. A friend who let us down. A situation that went wrong. We point outward. We say, "That person is the reason I feel this way." Marcus Aurelius pointed inward. He wrote that other people cannot truly hurt you. Not your real self. Not your mind. They can take your money. They can damage your reputation. They can say unkind things. But they cannot reach inside your mind and change how you think, how you feel, or who you are. Not unless you let them. This is one of the hardest lessons in the meditations, because it asks something very uncomfortable. It asks you to stop being a victim of other people's behavior. Most people blame others. Marcus Aurelius blamed himself, not in a cruel way, not in a way that punished himself, but he always asked, "What did I do? What could I have done differently? What is my part in this?" Because the only place he had any power was inside himself, and he refused to give that power away. Think about Nelson Mandela. Mandela spent 27 years in prison for something that was not a crime. 27 years. He lost his freedom. He lost decades of his life. He had every reason to come out of that prison filled with hatred and anger, but didn't. He came out with a quiet mind, a strong heart, a clear purpose. And when people asked him how, he said something simple. He said that his enemies could lock up his body, but they could never lock up his mind. That was his, always. No one can reach inside your mind without your permission. Marcus Aurelius understood this deeply. He described people who angered him, frustrated him, people who acted badly, and then he wrote, "They cannot harm me, because harm, real harm, only comes from within." When someone is rude to you, they are not giving you pain. They are offering it. You decide whether to take it. When someone criticizes you unfairly, they are not breaking you. They are testing you. You decide how strong your foundation is. You don't control the world. You control yourself. That is the only protection you will ever need. Lesson 5 ends here. Lesson 6. Love your fate. Let me make this simple. Something bad is going to happen to you. Maybe it already has. Maybe it is happening right now. You are going to lose something you love. You are going to fail at something that matters to you. You are going to face a situation that you did not choose and did not want. That is not a possibility. That is a guarantee. The question is not whether hard things will happen. The question is what you will do when they arrive. Marcus Aurelius had a name for the answer. He called it amor fati. It is a Latin phrase that means love your fate. Not accept your fate, not survive your fate. Love it. This sounds impossible, but Marcus did not mean that you should pretend bad things are good. He meant something deeper. He meant that everything that happens to you, the good and the painful, is material. It is the raw material of your life, and what you build with it is up to you. Think of a woman who built a small business with everything she had, years of savings, years of work. She believed in it completely. And then one difficult season it collapsed. The money was gone, the dream was gone. She sat in an empty office and felt the weight of it all. She had two choices. She could stay in that office looking at what was lost, or she could stand up and look at what remained. She stood up, not because it was easy, not because she was not in pain, but because she understood slowly and then all at once that the failure had taught her things that success never could. She understood her customers better now. She understood her own strength better now. She understood what really mattered. 2 years later, she built something new, something better, something she never could have imagined before the failure. If you lost something and it broke you open, that opening is where the light gets in. If you failed at something important, that failure is a teacher in disguise. If life gave you something you did not want, look closer. Look for what it is building in you. Don't just accept what happens. Fall in love with it. His life was not easy. He dealt with plagues wars and the deaths of his own children. He had every reason to be bitter, and he chose again and again to see his fate as his teacher. That choice is available to you right now. If this video is speaking to you, if these ideas are landing somewhere deep, subscribe right now. There is more coming, and you do not want to miss what is ahead. That is Lesson 6. Lesson 7. Never stop getting better. Listen closely. He was the most powerful man in the world. He commanded the Roman army. He controlled the wealth of an empire. Millions of people obeyed his every word. And every single night he sat alone and wrote about his failures, not his victories, not his achievements, his failures, the moments he lost his temper, the times he was impatient, the days he did not live up to his own standards. He wrote them down honestly, without excuses, and then he asked himself, how can I do better tomorrow? This is remarkable. Not because it is complicated, but because almost no one does it. Most people stop growing the moment they feel comfortable. They reach a certain level at work, a certain place in life, a certain image of themselves, and they stop pushing. They tell themselves, I have arrived. I have done enough. I know enough. Marcus Aurelius, the emperor of Rome, never told himself that. He wrote in his journal, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. Not talk about it, not plan it, not admire it in others. Be it. Today. Right now." He wrote. He reflected. He corrected himself. He got up the next morning and tried again. Consumers scroll for distraction. Builders write in journals. That one habit, the habit of honest self-reflection, was the foundation of everything Marcus Aurelius built as a leader, as a thinker, as a human being. He did not wait for inspiration. He did not wait for the right conditions. He sat down every night with a pen and asked hard questions. What did I do wrong today? Where did I fall short? Who did I treat poorly? What can I correct? And then he went to sleep. And the next morning he tried again. Being perfect is not the goal. Marcus was not perfect. His honesty about his own imperfections is unlike almost any leader in history. But he never stopped trying to close the gap between who he was and who he wanted to be. That gap is not a source of shame. That gap points you in a direction. The greatest man in Rome was still trying to be better. What is your excuse? Pick up a journal. Any notebook will do. Write one honest thing about your day. One thing you could do better. One thing you are grateful for. Do it tonight. Do it tomorrow night. Do it every night. That simple practice done consistently will change you. Not all at once, but steadily. The way water changes stone. Lesson 7 complete. Lesson 8. Treat every person with fairness. Pause for 1 second. Think about the last time someone frustrated you. A stranger who was rude, a coworker who did not do their job, a family member who said something unkind, a driver who cut in front of you on the road. What was your first reaction? For most people, the first reaction is simple: anger, judgment. The quick decision that this person is wrong, difficult, or bad. Marcus Aurelius had the same reactions. He was human. He felt frustration. He felt impatience. He admitted this openly in his journal, which is one of the reasons the Meditations still feels so honest and alive after 2,000 years. But then he did something most people do not do. He paused, and he asked a different question. He asked, why is this person acting this way? Not to excuse them, not to let them off easily, but to understand. Because Marcus believed something deeply. He believed that every human being has a reason for what they do. Every person carries a history, a fear, a wound, a pressure that you cannot see. The rude stranger may be carrying grief. The difficult coworker may be carrying fear. The unkind family member may be carrying pain they do not know how to express. This does not make their behavior acceptable, but it makes it understandable. And understanding is the beginning of fairness. Marcus wrote that all people share the same reason, the same basic humanity, the same desire to live well and be free from suffering. He believed that when people act badly, it is almost always because they do not know better or because they are struggling with something heavy. He wrote, "They are my family, not by blood, but by the fact that we are all human." This is a radical idea, especially coming from an emperor who had real enemies, people who wanted to take his power, damage his name, destroy his work. And still he chose to see them as human first. You cannot choose who you meet. You can choose how you treat them. This does not mean you have to agree with everyone. It does not mean you have to accept bad behavior with a smile. He was not a weak man. He was one of the strongest leaders in history. But strength, real strength, does not need to be cruel. It does not need to humiliate. It does not need to win every argument. Real strength is fair, even when fairness is hard, even when the other person does not deserve it. Because fairness is not for them, it is for you. It keeps your mind clean. It keeps your conscience quiet. It keeps you the kind of person you want to be regardless of how others behave. Treat people well, not because they always earn it, but because you have decided who you are. That decision is Lesson 8. Lesson 9. Build a morning ritual. Take a breath. Before we go to the next lesson, I want you to think about your mornings. What is the first thing you do when you wake up? Do you reach for your phone? Do you scroll through news and messages before you have even sat up in bed? Do you start the day already reacting, already behind, already pulled in 10 different directions? Marcus Aurelius started his day differently. Every morning before anything else, he wrote. He sat with his own thoughts. He asked himself what kind of person he wanted to be that day. He reminded himself of the lessons he was trying to learn. He prepared his mind the way a soldier prepares before a battle, not because his day was easy. His days were filled with difficult decisions, difficult people, and the enormous weight of governing an empire. But he understood something that most people learn too late. How you begin the morning is how you meet the day. Think about a young man who used to wake up exhausted every day. He worked hard, he tried hard, but his mornings were chaotic. He grabbed his phone first thing. He read bad news. He argued in comment sections. He arrived at work already tired, already irritated, already empty. One day he decided to try something different. He put his phone across the room. He woke up 10 minutes earlier. He sat quietly. He wrote 3 sentences in a notebook. What he was grateful for. What he wanted to do well that day. What kind of person he wanted to be. That was it. 3 sentences, 10 minutes. Within a few weeks, something shifted. Not his circumstances, not his job, not the people around him. Something shifted inside him. He was calmer. He was clearer. He was more patient. Scientists who study the brain call this neuroplasticity, the idea that the brain can change and grow based on how we use it. Daily habits of thought practiced consistently rewire the brain over time. Marcus Aurelius did not have this word, but he understood the idea completely. He practiced mental training every single morning for years. If your mornings are rushed, your mind will be rushed. If your mornings are quiet, your mind will find quiet. If your mornings belong to you, your day will feel like yours. Weak people wait for motivation. Strong people build a ritual. Motivation comes and goes. It is emotional. It is unreliable. But a ritual is different. A ritual does not ask how you feel. It just begins. And once it begins, the momentum carries you forward. And you control how you begin. Start tomorrow morning with 10 minutes that belong only to you. No phone, no news, no noise. Just you and your own mind. Write something honest. Think something clear. Begin on your own terms. That small choice made every morning will change who you are. Slowly, steadily, powerfully. Lesson 9 is yours. Lesson 10. The obstacle is the way. Read that again. The obstacle is the way. Not around the way, not beside the way, not something you have to survive before you can find the way. The obstacle is the way. This is the final lesson of the Meditations, and it might be the most important one Marcus Aurelius ever wrote. He put it simply in his journal: the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. For centuries, those words sat quietly in a private journal that was never meant to be read. And then a writer named Ryan Holiday found them. He built an entire book around this one idea. The book is called The Obstacle is the Way. It has been read by professional athletes, military leaders, and people rebuilding their lives from nothing. Because the idea inside it is not just ancient wisdom. That idea is a practical tool for anyone facing something hard. And right now you are facing something hard. Maybe you know exactly what it is. Maybe it is sitting at the back of your mind right now as you listen to this. A problem that will not go away. A situation that feels impossible. A door that keeps closing no matter how many times you knock. Marcus Aurelius wants you to look at that obstacle differently. He lost children. He fought wars he did not start. He governed an empire during a deadly plague that killed millions of people. He faced obstacle after obstacle after obstacle, and every time he asked the same question. Not why is this happening to me, but what is this asking me to become? Because every obstacle carries a lesson. Every failure carries information. Every closed door is pointing you toward a different door, one you might never have found if the first one had opened. You faced a loss. It taught you what truly matters. You faced a failure. It taught you what you were missing. You faced rejection. It showed you a better direction. He stood up. He moved forward. He built something from the wreckage. That is what the obstacle asks of you. Not to be unafraid. Not to be unbroken. Just to keep moving. This is the final lesson because it holds all the others inside it. Control your mind, not the world. Do your duty without complaint. Remember that time is short. Stay in the present moment. Refuse to let others control your peace. Love what happens to you. Never stop growing. Treat people with fairness. Build your mornings with intention. All of it comes back to this. The hard thing in front of you is not blocking your path. It is building you for the path ahead. You don't control the world. You control yourself. And you are stronger than you think. That is lesson 10. We have come a long way together. Let's bring it all back. 10 lessons from a Roman emperor who lived 2,000 years ago and still speaks to us today. Lesson 1. You control your mind, not the world. Everything starts here. Lesson 2. Do your duty without complaint. Show up. Do the work. Every day. Lesson 3. Remember that you will die. Not to feel afraid, but to feel awake. Lesson 4. Live in the present moment. The past is closed. The future is not open yet. Now is where your power lives. Lesson 5. People cannot hurt your mind. Only you decide what gets in. Lesson 6. Love your fate. Whatever has happened to you is material. Build something from it. Lesson 7. Never stop getting better. The greatest man in Rome was still trying. So can you. Lesson 8. Treat every person with fairness. Not because they earn it, because you have decided who you are. Lesson 9. Build a morning ritual. 10 minutes that belong to you. Before the world gets loud. Lesson 10. What stands in your way becomes your way. The hard thing in front of you is not blocking you. It is building you. 10 lessons, 1 life, 1 journal. Written alone in private by a man who had everything and still felt the same weight you feel right now. That is the miracle of the Meditations. It is not a book about power. It is not a book about Rome. These pages hold the quiet battle that every human being fights inside themselves every single day. Marcus Aurelius fought that battle. He did not always win, but he never stopped fighting. 2,000 years ago, a man sat alone and wrote the truth. That truth is still alive, and now it is yours. You don't control the world, you control yourself. Take that with you. Write it somewhere you will see it. Live it one day at a time. That is enough. That has always been enough. Which of these 10 lessons hit you the hardest? Tell me in the comments below. I read every single one. Keep listening daily. Practice listening like this, and your English will grow with your mind. I'll see you in the next one.